I will just say again, this is the best original Christmas movie I've seen in years.
Yeah.
And this is the best Santa origin story.
Hi, I'm Luke.
And I'm Becca, and we're talking about movies like we know stuff.
Hey everyone. So we just got done watching Klaus for probably the millionth time during this Christmas season. It's a great movie. It's on Netflix, and we're going to provide a review for it here. But first, we're going to start off with Becca giving a summary of the plot.
Sure. So yes, rewatching it because it is fantastic. It came out just before, the end of 2019, which we weren't aware of, I think, until maybe a year later. Mm-hmm. But it is this just incredible animated movie that was released on Netflix. It's almost better than it has any right to be.
It really is. Like, Netflix, again, I've said this about multiple things. I said this on the K-pop Demon Hunters review.
Hitting it out of the park.
They just, occasionally, they hit a super banger, and this is one of them, for sure.
It is, at its core, it's just a very, very clever Santa origin story.
Yes.
And it centers around a, let's say, Cusco-type character, a postman named Jesper. He is the spoiled Nepo baby of a family that apparently owns privatized postal service.
Yeah.
In this world, postal service is privatized.
Exactly.
And he's just this spoiled young man who has no intention of really earning anything. And to teach him a lesson, his father banishes him essentially to be a postman for a year in this isolated, like Antarctic type island called Smeerenburg. Smeerenburg. And it is cold and decrepit, and it's only inhabited by basically like the Hatfield and McCoy clans of people, and they absolutely hate each other, and they're always literally battling in the streets, and they're certainly not sending mail. And Jesper's father tasks him with sending an enormous amount of letters in a year. 6,000 letters. So essentially, he has to find a way to bring these people together for his own selfish purposes. And that ends up, well, I don't want to spoil it, but it turns into a Santa origin story through friends that Jesper makes on his journey. And this journey that starts out so initially completely self-centered and self-serving ends up being so beautiful. This is the ultimate Christmas movie.
It's a great Christmas movie. Definitely one that you should add to your list of traditional watches.
It is the best original Christmas movie
in a long time.
I'd say the last great one was Elf.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
The last great one was Elf. And everything else has either just
come out of the 90s or the 80s.
Right, and everything new has been bad or passable.
Yep.
Or maybe guilty pleasure.
Right.
But that's it.
Yeah,
that's
not as universally appraised as most Christmas movies, most traditional ones.
I don't want to spoil how this incredible story unfolds.
Well, let's just get into the spoiler-free review. So we're going to give you guys the spoiler-free version. Listen to this, and then we'll tell you when we're going to switch over to spoilers. And when we do, highly recommend you click away, go watch the movie, and come back and listen to the rest of our review, because we're going to spoil a ton of it, but it is a fantastic movie. We don't want you to miss out on the epic experience of this movie. So let's get into just spoiler-free thoughts of the movie. So let's just kick it off with spoiler-free review thoughts. What do you think?
I feel like I kind of traipsed into that whenever I gave the summary.
A little bit, yeah.
So I will just say again, this is the best original Christmas movie I've seen in years.
Yeah.
And this is the best Santa origin story I've ever seen.
In a long time.
I'd say that.
Even over like the Santa Claus?
Yes.
Really?
Because the Santa Claus, it's very fun, but it really doesn't tell you why Santa came to be.
Sure, that's true.
And I used to think that really the golden standard for Santa Claus origin story was the Rankin and Bass Santa Claus is coming to town. And maybe it's a while since you've seen it, but obviously it's very like nostalgic, silly, like claymation. It's not the animation that's great, but the story is really sweet because it shows, in that version, his origin story is Santa Claus was a nice young man named Kris Kringle who was raised by toy makers, and he starts bringing toys, to children in this town, this like depressing, sad town where all they do is chores and never have any fun. And eventually, Kris becomes Santa Claus because he has to hide from the law to bring toys to these kids.
Okay.
And I always thought that was the best version because it explained why he was Santa. It explains the magic. It explains why he goes to their houses at night. It explains really everything. That even though that's not my favorite Christmas movie, that really does give a very like solid, it's very solid Santa lore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
But this one like blows everything else out of the water.
Yeah, it's true. Definitely one of the best ones for sure. I'll say, spoiler-free wise, this movie is beautiful. It is animated movie, but I believe it's one of those ones where they animated the movie in 3D and then they just applied a filter over top of it.
Do you mean 2D?
No, animated in 3D.
I thought it was 2D, because wasn't it in that documentary we watched that, which I'm going to link to that because everybody should rent it and watch it, but Pencils versus Pexels. Mm-hmm. And it's the documentary where all the animators are talking about the death of 2D animation and how basically movies like Shrek caused studios to believe that the medium of 2D animation was the problem and not the fact that some of the writing, was getting like weaker, movies aren't being advertised, that 2D animation was getting phased out. It was like, oh, it's too expensive. So the animators for this movie, it is 2D, but they basically lied in production and made it look 3D because nobody would back it.
Okay, I don't remember that, but you could be right. I would have guessed it was a 3D animated film and they put a 2D filter over top of it.
Yeah, I think it's the reverse.
Okay.
We will clarify.
Yeah, we'll have to figure that out.
But it's
the
gorgeous.
text here on screen now. But anyway, the movie is beautiful. Every single screenshot is like a desktop background worthy. You could like frame some of these pictures.
The textures look amazing.
The textures are great. It's cell shaded. It's beautiful. It's dynamic. There's a lot of depth to a lot of the images.
The lighting is amazing.
The lighting is very precise and accurate, and it brings out a lot of highlights and details that you would need to see. I will also say the animation style is kind of quirky, but in like a good way, where characters are like overemphasized on their features. You'll have people with like very square faces, or people who are just like unimaginably round, or they'll look like a pear, like dramatically like a pear, or just random highly detailed characteristic features. But it's a really cool animation style, and it works well for this movie. It doesn't feel non-believable, even though it is highly stylized.
It feels grounded, even though it definitely leans into that Looney Tune animation. There's a lot of violence and people falling off buildings, but somehow nobody ever dies.
Right, yeah.
People are
getting like blown up, kind of Looney Tunes-esque. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And somehow there's no casualties. That's impressive.
Exactly.
Except for that one dead body. They keep carrying back and forth.
Yeah, that's right. If it's even a dead body, we'll just say for children's sake it's not a dead body.
Yeah, we'll just say it's stolen goods.
Yeah,
but
exactly. I will also say this movie has genuinely funny moments in it. The slapstick humor in this, and just the general situational humor in this
writing
movie is so funny. There are situations every time that I watch this, I'm just thinking, it's the funniest thing. I can't reveal any of them to you right now because they're spoilers, but there's just genuinely funny moments that make me audibly laugh out loud.
Like Jesper yelling at the chickens.
Yeah,
like those derpy looking chickens.
Is a cute moment for sure. It makes me laugh for sure.
Or that like demented little girl pushing the carrot into the snowman.
Yeah,
that,
exactly.
Like running gag. Yeah, it's funny every time.
Yeah, the running gag of the children shoving what are supposed to be knife-shaped carrots into snowmen is just one of the funniest jokes in that whole thing. Also, not a spoiler, but we could talk more about it in the spoiler section, is just the song Invisible in this movie is a banger.
It's such a banger.
Such a good song. Mm-hmm. It just hits the pop, Christmas, make you feel happy, cozy kind of feel.
We listen to it all year round. We just have it on a regular playlist.
We have it on a regular playlist. We're listening to it all the time. It's great. It's a great song.
I mean, this movie, it's so above and beyond most Christmas movies because most are just fun, nostalgic fairy tales. Mm-hmm. But this movie is about being a good person.
Yes.
And it's about what makes life worth living. And I think that's why we're so obsessed with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's like the best parts of human nature.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that we can't talk about this anymore without going into detail.
Yeah, so please, now, if you want to see this movie, please click away now because we're going into spoilers. Highly, highly, highly recommend you do so because it is such a good movie to just experience. All right, and if you're still with us, that means that you're ready for some spoiler territory. Hopefully you've seen this movie. Again, please go see this movie before we spoil it for you. Let's start. We're going to do this differently. We normally go through a list of criteria that we like to rank this
features,
movie on,
right,
and all this kind of stuff. We're just going to just gush about this movie the whole time. So I figured we'd just do like a positive and negative situation. And because I feel like we love this movie so much, so the negatives are going to be so short, we're just going to start off with those. So Rebecca, do you have any negatives that you could call out for this movie right now?
I mean, not many. obviously, but there's only maybe 2, let's say, areas of improvement.
Okay. All right.
So the first is that the movie, it starts out, it's funny, but it does start out really mean. It's mean. It's a mean-looking world. They're mean characters. The humor's mean. And really, it takes kind of a while for Jesper to get a break.
Yes.
And it's not that you feel that bad for him because he is just like the spoiled brat character.
Right.
But it does feel like this gray, ugly world. And on first watch, you might be thinking, I don't want to finish this. Like, this isn't very like Christmassy. And I recommended this to like a colleague years ago, and they did end up liking it, but they said that they almost turned it off.
Yeah.
So, I didn't like it. I thought it was just like too mean. I thought it went too hard.
Yes.
And I think that is, I'm not saying that I would change that, but I feel like that's almost like a warning, as I would tell people, you gotta push through to the first like 20 minutes.
Right. And I would say,
if you're not feeling it.
Yeah, and I want to piggyback off of that because that was one of my negatives as well. There's random like creepy moments in this movie to start off.
There are a
It's
couple,
weird.
yeah.
Like there's a moment where when Jesper is gonna meet Klaus for the first time, he ends up in his toy shop and there's a bunch of like loose doll heads that he trips over, and then he gets one in his hands and it's got no eyes on it, it's got no paint for the lips or anything like that, it's got no hair, and then like a beetle crawls out of the eye.
Yeah, it's scary.
It's a little weird, a little creepy. So I would say cautionary to young, small children.
That could turn off a child.
Yeah, it could
sure.
scare them at some point. So yeah, like you said, Becca, I think this movie, the start of it could be potentially a little off-putting, but push through, for sure.
And the only other con is, for the most part, I think the writing is phenomenal. But sometimes I think the writing for the villains is a little too on the nose.
Okay.
Where the villains of the story are the Ellingbows and the Crumbs, and they're the Hatfield and McCoy characters, these 2 families. And it's really like the heads of the families who, they're not looking for peace and harmony and for children to start playing together and behaving.
Just to uphold tradition.
And some of the dialogue is a bit silly, where like Joan Cusack's character says, "We were built on hatred and spite, and we're gonna keep being hateful and spiteful."
Tradition, yeah.
And it's just nobody talks like that. That if they would have given a reason, we just don't like them because they're dumb, they're unfair, they betrayed us. I think that would play better. That's the only time when I hear that dialogue that I think, that's stupid.
Yeah.
They're just saying, I like being evil, and I want to keep the evil going. And that's really my only script note.
Sure, that's totally fair. I think the way I take that is that when they go through the reveal of like, oh, why do they hate each other? And then they just go like, oh, it's just tradition. We've been doing this for years and years. I think what they're trying to kind of get at is basically like, this feud has been going on so long that even the present day people don't remember what caused them to initially be mad at each other. I think that's kind of like the silliness or absurdity of the feud. That kind of is what they're playing at. But I agree.
Yeah. And I think that comes through. I think they just needed to axe a couple of the Joan Cusack lines.
Yeah, sure.
We like being mad.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
I guess, yeah. All right, and then I think my other main critique of this movie comes all the way into the third act breakup, when the 2 families have found out that Jesper is only in it to sell so many letters, and then he can go home to his cushy job or whatever. And his father shows up at Klaus's workshop, and so does the families, and they kind of reveal like, hey, you did it. You sold over 6,000 letters. You get to go home to your cushy life where you don't have to like worry about anything. And there's like so much time dedicated to this moment. All he had to do was just go, well, no, I don't want to do that anymore. Like, I want to stay here. That would have like, again, it's one of those so the movie can happen moments, but it's just like a simple no would have solved everything in that moment, Now, I guess maybe, and I don't know what your take is on this, but maybe the reason why he didn't say no right away is because maybe he was truly still wavering on whether he wanted to actually stay in this place or go home to his cushy life.
See, I do think there was a little bit of conflict. I do. And I think in Jesper's mind, he thought he had a little bit more time to make a decision.
Yeah.
And he didn't expect his father to show up unannounced.
That's
and he thought
true.
that there would be time to, oh, hey, do I have a girlfriend now? Is this like good attitude going to extend beyond Christmas Day?
Right.
That he might have had a little bit of time to make a decision.
Right.
That's what I think.
Okay. Yeah, I wrote down that note, and then I thought about it for like 30 more seconds, and I was like, maybe he wasn't truly bought off on it yet. And so a weak note, but a minor note nonetheless for the negatives for this.
No, but it's fair. It's because he does seem pretty darn happy before his father shows up.
Yeah, right, exactly. He does.
So.
Yeah. All right, and I think that's about all we could say negative-wise. Do you have anything else?
I wish more people knew about this movie.
Okay, that's not exactly what we're going for here, but sure. All right, time to just gush about this movie. Go ahead, start us off.
Where do I start?
Anywhere.
Oh my gosh.
Anywhere.
Okay, so I'm not used to gushing in such a free-flowing kind of way, but I want to talk about the scene that really won me over to this movie the first time I watched it.
Okay.
So I watched this years ago, and I'm pretty sure it was because another YouTuber told me to watch it.
Okay.
That I don't even think I got a personal recommendation. But I'm watching it, and like we had said earlier, the movie, it's funny, but it starts out really mean-spirited. It hits hard. And I thought it was funny, but I didn't give it much thought. But the scene where Jesper and Klaus deliver the first toy to that little boy, the little like robotic frog.
Yes.
And he opens it, and just the joy on his face, and the toy starts to jump around, and the music swells, and it just feels like this moment of bliss. That's when it hit me. That's when I said, oh, this movie is gonna say something really special.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a powerful moment early on in the movie.
Like, I'm getting like chills thinking about this moment, and that's not even one of the best moments of the movie, but that is the moment that I really started paying attention.
Yeah.
So I think this movie has something to say.
Absolutely.
This isn't just like a comedy.
Yes. And along those lines, I would say another thing that I love about this movie is that the story builds up on the traditional lore of Santa without it feeling like it's been kind of shoehorned in. You know, they talk about sending a letter to Santa Claus, getting coal in your stocking, being good at all times of the year, toys at night, through the chimney, you have reindeer. All of those elements of like traditional Santa lore are explained.
The red Santa outfit.
The red Santa outfit. They're explained in a non-hokey way. It all makes sense. It's not like, oh, they had to do that because Santa does that. No, like it actually like makes sense in the movie beyond, oh, that's what traditional Santa is like.
Right, like Jesper has to go down the chimney because he's the skinny, tiny guy, and Klaus can't because he's huge. Right. And Jesper has to do it because all the families and neighbors hate each other, so he has to sneak in because they won't let him in.
Right, and everybody thinks that, because, Klaus is so big that he has to have some magic. That's how he gets down those narrow spaces.
Right.
Even though it's Jesper the whole time.
And, Jesper puts coal in the stocking because that one little kid's being a jerk.
Bullied him on day one, yeah.
And he just left coal because he's like, no, you little jerk, I'm not bringing you anything until you stop being a bully.
Exactly.
And they start using reindeer to pull the sleigh of toys because it gets too heavy. They're delivering too many, and they aren't magical reindeer, they're just reindeer.
Right, yeah, exactly. And I mean, there's like even an instance where the boy wakes up in the middle of the night and Klaus and Jesper the reindeer go off of a ramp and they're flying through the air just
because they're running away.
And he's like, whoa, the reindeer and the sleigh fly. Just like the mind of children, combined with the circumstance kind of makes the Santa magic real to them.
Yeah. The explanation for the Santa lore is so organic. And I think that's what makes it feel so real.
Absolutely.
Like, I would believe that this happened. I mean, not all the fighting with like no injuries, but I would believe that this could have happened.
Yeah.
Somewhere, that this could have been the story of the real Saint Nicholas.
Right. And then just to add to the magic of the whole movie, having Lydia, Klaus's late wife, communicate through like wind magic is a really
she's
cool
the swirling snow.
She's the wind, she's the snow, she's the birdhouses that rattle in the wind. She has all these really magical and wistful ways of communicating with Klaus.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's okay.
You can see every time Klaus is wavering, Lydia comes in to kind of nudge him.
In the right way, yeah.
And
it's just a cool magic moment.
It also speaks to how heartbreaking this movie is. And, on a positive note, this movie's so beautiful. Like I said, I think it displays the best of humanity. Because at first it's Jesper encouraging kids just to write letters to Klaus because he just needs to send letters. And he's like, ask for a toy so I can send. And then it turns into Klaus is not going to bring you toys if you aren't good. So then the kids are trying to be good to each other and to their parents and to the community.
Neighbors,
And then the neighbors start coming together because the children make the first step. And at first it kind of seems like they're doing it
like begrudgingly. You're not going to out nice me.
It very much feels like the psychology of smiling to help yourself feel better, even if you don't. And if you keep doing it, you'll feel better.
Yeah.
And then that kind of forced smile turns into something real.
Genuine.
Where they start to enjoy making people feel good. They enjoy doing the right thing.
Yes.
They enjoy the benefits of a more peaceful community.
Yeah.
So that's the happy part of the emotion. But the heartbreaking part, certainly, this movie also showcases like how bittersweet life is and reality is. And very much that's displayed in Klaus's and his wife's infertility journey that you don't find out until about halfway through the movie.
Right.
And it's such a beautiful and bittersweet piece of the Santa lore that Santa chose to make all these children happy to fulfill this hole he had in his heart that he wasn't able to become a father.
Right. Despite not being able to have his own. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And any journey of somebody trying to become a parent is just always going to hit me so hard.
Yeah, right. And then just to add more to the emotion, the way the movie concludes with him, I guess, magically passing away.
He dies. Klaus dies.
Yeah, passing away and
peacefully. He just follows his wife's spirit into the ether.
He says, "I'm coming home, Lydia," and it's just so emotional. And then to add to the full magic of traditional Santa, he shows up once every December 25th.
His spirit lives on in Christmas.
Exactly.
And J.K. Simmons he knocks it out of the park. I think this entire voice cast is phenomenal. It is star-studded and perfect, but I think J.K. Simmons is the MVP for this film. His vocal performance, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
You can just...
For sure.
You feel the resentment and the sadness and the healing.
Yeah. So since you brought up the voice actors and you mentioned Cusco earlier in the review, I will say that I loved Jesper's voice actor. It's totally fine and it works great with the way the movie is, but the way the character is, I think the way the character is written and the way he speaks, I feel like David Spade could have easily been cast to play Jesper in this movie. I'm not saying he would have done a better job or whatever, but I think it's because Cusco and Jesper are very similar characters that I felt like I always heard David Spade reading the lines of Jesper.
See, I feel like Cusco walked so Jesper could fly. I think Jesper is a much better character. He's much more fleshed out. There's just so much more heart in this movie.
Sure.
And that's not Emperor's New Group's fault. I love that movie.
Yeah.
But there's a place for it.
Yeah.
And there is a very nice, sweet moral to that. But this is a lot more than like a sweet morsel of goodness.
Yeah. Right. And then we mentioned Invisible in the spoiler-free review, but I just want to reiterate that it is such a banger. It's a great song. I actually don't know who sings it off the top of my head.
Zara Larsson?
Let me look real fast. Zara Larsson. Well done.
Huh.
That is accurate. She does a great job. It feels like an Ariana Grande song.
It does.
Again, same point
she
when I talk about
same
point when I talk about Jesper and could easily be replaced with David Spade. I feel like this song could have easily have been sung by Ariana Grande for sure. So
it is. Oh gosh, again, it's so good that it's on a non-Christmas playlist. And I want to say, in general, the score is so beautiful.
The score is great.
It's really great.
Yeah.
I feel like we actually have kind of slept on the musical score.
I would agree with that.
That should be on another playlist. But
for sure.
Where the music swells and the little boy gets his first present. And when the spirit of Klaus comes back, or even whenever Klaus passes away, those repeating themes are just, they're so ethereal and grand, but they all feel so appropriate to what's happening.
Or when Alva starts opening her school up and starts teaching all the children and making the town a better place. Yeah, there's just all sorts of really good motifs that are happening throughout this movie. It's great. And then the last thing that I think I want to touch on, and I'm sure you probably have more that you want to touch on, but I want to reiterate those funny moments that I mentioned in the spoiler-free review. I mean, we talked about...
The movie's also hilarious.
The movie's hilarious. The children with the carrot and the knife and the snowman, the carrot knife into the snowman, that's a hilarious thing. When we talked about the moment when the little boy gets his first toy and Jesper is saying oh, well, I can't get up there. There's traps everywhere and sorry, the gate's locked.
There's guard dogs.
Can't do any of this kind of stuff. And then Klaus just walks up, bends the bars, picks Jesper up, puts him on the other side of the bars, and then bends the bars back so he can't get back out. It's the funniest thing ever. I love that scene. Then when they're talking about the rivalry between the Ellingbows and the Crumbs, and the Ellingbows talk about the great mooning of 86. And there's like a diorama where a bunch of wooden figures stick their butts out of the window and pull their pants down. This is so stupid. It's funny. And then when Jesper sets his butt on fire by landing in a working fire pit, trying to deliver a present, and then he comes screaming out and just sticks his butt in the snow and like dumps snow on his head and is just like, well, mistake or whatever. Just loads of funny moments.
A lot of good physical comedy in a movie that's really deep.
Really deep, really emotional. Yeah, exactly. It hits a lot of really good emotions for sure. So that was probably the last thing that I want to talk about, but I'm sure you have plenty more that you want to talk about.
You know, to be honest, I have covered, let's say, my favorite gushing points of this movie. But I will say, again, this movie, it hits all the notes I want a movie to hit. I really feel like it has everything. It's funny, it's beautiful, and oh my goodness, it makes me cry every time.
It does make you weepy. It makes me a little weepy.
As soon as like Klaus leaves, that really is the catalyst, and I'm like, hold it together, man.
We finished watching the movie just now. I look over and she is just bright red with tears running down her face.
No, like tears rolling down my face.
It's really adorable.
And it always gets me at the very end when...
Don't lose it now.
And Jesper says, I still see my friend every year.
Yeah.
And, it's
a great way to close out a movie.
Good grief, this movie, it kills me. I want to cry just thinking about it, even when I haven't recently watched it. And, you know, all I can say is, this movie is so special.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It's great.
Again, we said it 18 gajillion times during this review, but if you have not seen this movie, go watch it. Steal somebody's Netflix password. Don't actually do that for legal reasons. And watch this movie, please. It is a fantastic piece of art.
I understand why Netflix wouldn't want to give this up. Now, I don't know how I found this, but I found a DVD copy of this.
Really?
And yes, it's in our collection.
Oh my, well
because
good. I'm glad we have a physical copy.
I thought I should find this before it doesn't exist in case there's a world where we don't have Netflix.
Yeah.
And I understand why they don't want to let that go, because I feel like I looked for the DVD again and couldn't find it. But I wish somebody would buy the rights and it could be broadcast at least occasionally on cable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because for people to see like that terrible animated Grinch remake.
Yeah.
50 to 60
the
times.
The kids love it.
But not see this.
Yeah.
That is a crime.
It's a travesty.
That is a travesty. To go back to my con is that everybody should know about this and they don't. And that is upsetting.
Yeah. That's 100%. 100% on that one, for sure. All right. Well, I think we know where this is probably going, but do you give this movie a watch or not a watch?
This movie is a 10 out of 10.
Definitely.
This is a near perfect movie.
Wow.
It's a 10.
Okay.
It's maybe 11.
Oh my, you're not allowed to go over the scale. That's illegal. So you give it a 10?
Yes.
All right.
But in the spirit of Christmas, 11.
Okay. I swear if you edit 11 in on our review here, I'm going to be mad. I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10.
What?
Yep.
I can't believe you would knock any points
I
off.
am a very hard grader.
Are you? You were going to give the Tron remake an 8.
That's your opinion. No, my friends know that I basically just never give out 10 out of 10s. So maybe I'm too snarky. I don't know. Anyway.
You're a Grinch.
I'm a Grinch.
You're Benedict Cumberbatch, animated stupid Grinch.
Okay. Thank you for that one. Appreciate it.
When that loving exchange between a husband and wife in a healthy relationship.
Love you.
I want to say, go watch this movie. It will make your holiday season brighter. It will touch your heart. Just enjoy it. And I genuinely hope that if you do enjoy this movie, that the lessons are something that you carry past this holiday season. And they just hope you see the world in a little bit of a brighter light, honestly. So.
Absolutely. So thank you guys for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps us out here on this channel. And we will see you guys in the next episode. Thanks.
Yeah. Bye.